Hey seniors, so for this week, your videos are going to look something like this. I'm really excited about it. They're going to get better as they go on, so please just bear with me and make sure you're taking really good notes. Remember, every adult in this room knows what your notes should look like. So let's go ahead and get started. Today we're going to be talking about what a function is, and we discussed this a little bit before the benchmark, but it's just a nice reminder. So at the top of your notes page, go ahead and write, what is a function? Remember, for a relationship to be a function, every x value can only have one y value. Go ahead and write that part in your notes page. That is another way to say that is that every input only has one output. So your x values cannot repeat. The way I can tell if something is a function is through the vertical line test. Can I draw a line through the relationship and it only hit the relationship one time? In terms of language, you're going to hear it defined as define y as a function of x, or define school books as a function of students, or a relationship like that. So whenever you see that, it's just asking you to determine if every x value has only one y value. Let's move on. Okay, guys, let's talk about linear versus nonlinear. Remember, linear relationships are straight lines, and you're going to see those in the form of equations as y equals mx plus b. Go ahead and write that in your notes page. So if I were to have the equation y equals 2x plus 5, of course, 5 is my y-intercept, 2 is my slope, and that relationship would be linear because it would form a straight line. Nonlinear relationships are not straight lines, and we'll talk about these through some examples, but make sure you have both of those things written down in your notes page. We're going to be coming around to check. Okay, guys, here's our first example. Obviously, this is a graph of a straight line, so we need to figure out, is this a function? And then also, is this relationship linear? Well, I know it's a function because I can draw a vertical line through it and it only hits it once, which means that this x value only has one y value. I also know that this relationship is linear because it's a straight line. So this would be referred to as a linear function. Okay, guys, here's our second example. Go ahead and do a rough graph of this side parabola. The first thing I need to figure out is this a function? Well, the first thing I can do is go ahead and draw a vertical line through it. Does it hit it twice? Yep, it hits it here and it hits it here, which means that this x value in the middle has two y values, this one up here and this one down here, which means that this is not a function. This relationship is also not linear because it's not a straight line. So what we have here is a non-linear non-function. All right, let's move on. Make sure that you have this parabola roughly drawn in your notes page. We're going to be coming around to check. First thing I need to figure out is this parabola a function or not? Well, can I draw a vertical line through it and it only hit it once? Let's do that. Yep, it only hits it once, which is right there. So this is a function. Now, the next question I need to ask myself is this a linear function? Well, I know that this relationship cannot be linear because the graph is in the shape of a parabola as opposed to a straight line. So what I have here is a non-linear function. Let's do one more example. All right, guys, this is a funky looking V-shaped relationship, but I can look at it immediately and see, yep, it's a function because it only hits it once, which means that this x value only has one y value. But I know that this relationship is not linear because it's not in the form of a straight line. So again, what I have here is a non-linear function. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for me today. This was a pretty easy lesson. Let's go ahead and jump right into practice. Okay, guys, this question is asking us, explain why the following graph does not define y as a function of x. When you see that language, what it's asking you is to basically describe whether or not the relationship is a function or not. Now, this particular graph doesn't really look like anything, but I can go ahead and figure out if this relationship is a function just by going through each one of my points on the graph individually to see if there's only one y value for every x value. Remember, for something to be a function, every x value can only have one y value. So what I'm going to do is just trace along my x-axis, which is of course my horizontal axis, to figure out if every one of my coordinates has one y value for every x value. So let's start with my first one. Where x is -2, y is 0. Okay, that point only has one y value, so that's okay. Where x is 0, y is 1. Also okay. That one only has one y value. But let's look at where x is 2, y is 0, but it's also 4. So I know immediately, since my x values here repeat, that this relationship is not a function. So if I look at my answer choices here, points 0, -2, and 0, 2 have the same x value, that is not true. The graph is nonlinear. Well, that is true. However, that does not tell us why it is a function or not. Points 2, 0 and 2, 4 have the same x value. That is true, because here it's 2, 0 and here it's 2, 4, and since my x values have more than one y value, this relationship is not a function. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me today. Let's go ahead and practice.